Ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Frick's buying the camera tonight. It's Friday. Dave doesn't work late on Fridays.
And I have nothing to do.
And Frick has no life. Dave gets here at noon, leaves at 4. Anyway, I was just talking to John from the Midwest, and he was asking me what I was going to do with the tool cabinet. And I'm really not decided. But he had a good idea, and that was that we finish this, go back to work on this for a couple of months, get some more done, and then go on to another furniture project. And the good part about that, and maybe I've already said this, but it struck as something new when I was talking to him. The nice thing is I actually get to work with this in the process of building furniture, not working on that. And that gives me a chance to decide what I like and what I don't like. So that may happen. Anyway, let me show you what I did. I got a little bit eager and I finished this. I got a really nice fit on this. That goes in there just as precise as... Ooh, that's sweet. Anyway, I want to show you something. So I was just looking at it. I put and you know how I never dry fit? Well, I was just eager to see what this was going to look like. So I put this thing together, and I was looking at it, and I came back in today to get ready to film, and I'm looking at this, and I seen A here and B there, and I said, oh crap, what'd I do? But you know how we did that little cheater way of cutting the dovetails? Look at the fit on the wrong joint, on the wrong two pieces. Pretty impressive, huh? This is actually, this is B, and this is A, just so that you know it's wrong. This is supposed to go down here. Now, it'd be really embarrassing if this didn't fit, but it does. Like a glove. That's sweet. Oh, you gotta love that new method. Okay, so we'll go through, and as I told you, we'll finish this on camera. I want to make sure I get this right. So what I plan to do today is do that other corner, and I think I'm going to assemble this because I've got to assemble it to then cut this angle to match that, and then decide, oh yeah, oh, never mind, I was just thinking, it was that blemish right there that I saw sitting up on top, and I said, shoot, I thought I was going to be able to get rid of that with the rabbit. That's when I discovered that this was wrong. Anyway, so then I got to figure out how we're going to rabbit this out in order to get that panel in there. So let's just go to work on this, and then when that's drying, we can actually work on the panel. I'm anxious to get out that veneer. So this goes like so. So this goes like so. Now, I don't know why, but I haven't even cut that yet. Set the marking gauge. That's already set. That's good. And I don't know if I told you or not, but I made the mistake of scribing these incorrectly. I had scribed them to the thickness of the tailboard instead of the thickness of the pin board. Oh yeah, that's the other, I think I already said that. When we left off the last time, you'll remember, I'd screwed up with this and I had to do a new one. But I'd already cut the pins. The nice thing was, because I had used that new method, which is where, somewhere in there is right here. Since I'd already used that new method, when I put this together and recut this one, it fit in there perfectly. That's what I was excited about. Now, the only problem is I've got to know where to position this. So, how am I going to do that? Because if I don't get this in the right position, then when I put this together, this bottom half pin is not going to be flush down here. In fact, what I want to do is I want to duplicate on one end what I have on the other. So if I put that together, and that's sitting proud. Now it's okay because I still have enough here. So how do I translate? How do I get that exact same setting right here? This is what I'm talking about. This is sticking out of here. And I want it, if I don't get it right on, when you flush it up, this is going to be twisted a little bit. So I got to figure out how to copy that exact same amount down onto this end. I suppose the thing to do is to take this piece, and if I mark it, well, that's what I already did. I already put a mark on here with the pencil. So now I've got to just turn it like this, so I've got the exact same side. Put this in here, line it up with that pencil mark that I have right down there. I want to make sure that it's so inch and strong eighth. Inch and strong eighth. So you want to hear something exciting?
Sure.
Completely unrelated?
What's that?
Well, I know this guy in the city, plays a lot of hockey, got drafted into the NHL, never actually played in the NHL, but got drafted by Chicago. And he runs a power skating school here. I've had him teach my boys, Jake and Rex, before. Okay, now this, am I cutting on the face side? Alright, I'm cutting, actually just the way I put that, this is the inside, so I've got to be careful not to go down too deep. So anyway, he's got this set up in his basement. By the way, he worked for the city as a cabinet maker. But he's got this set up, the skate shop in his basement. And I went to see it the other night with my brother. And he takes a brand new pair of skates and he goes through quite an elaborate process of setting them up. And I never thought about this, but I'm telling people all the time, you buy hand tools built by people who don't know how to use them. Don't expect them to be ready out of the box. Same thing with skates. These things are being assembled by people who have no idea how to skate. And people don't realize that they're not ready to go. So he goes through this process of setting them all up and creating the proper radius profile. The bottom of the skate is actually a radius. And depending on what kind of hockey you play will determine whether you have a very large radius, which gives a lot of blade on the ice, very stable, or a very tight radius, which gives a lot less contact on the ice, which is good for agility, defenseman. Anyway, so I finally took my skates to him and had him do them. And I used them this afternoon at lunchtime for the first time. And it was like cutting dovetails with a Cosman dovetail saw. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, the difference. Okay, so
That's probably what's wrong with my game.
I was thinking that, Frick. I was also thinking that I just made a bad cut on here. I'm going to check it. I hate to think my hockey story got me off track. But I'm a man and we only do one thing at a time. Actually, you know what? Bang on. I love it when your only mistake is thinking you made a mistake and you really didn't. So I took Bo's and Mitch's skates in there and they'll skate on them for the first time tomorrow. I'm going to pick them up in the morning. I'm really excited to see the difference. So what the moral of that story is, when you buy hand tools or when you buy any kind of a tool, chances are the person that actually assembled it or built it probably doesn't know a whole lot about using it. So I see that so often. It's the reason why I end up building a dovetail saw, my own. That's standing plumb. Why am I worrying about this? Oh, that's up too high. Sit down. Now, that doesn't have a nice sharp edge on it right there, which means it wouldn't be any good at all if we'd actually had cut a rabbit on the back. Because if you don't have a good sharp edge, and I don't know why, except for that's maybe where it would get plain, but whatever. So the fact that I'm going to use the square, just going to look underneath here to make sure I got that facing right. Yeah, that's the inside. So I'm going to use the square. This is the outside face. Put the square on here. Now, do you see that clamp that I used the other day, the little small one? There it is. And I'll check it with my okay, that looks right. Now put this in position. Now that should be sticking out a little bit farther. So I'm just going to check and make sure. No, that's right on. Well, this may be, I hand planed that, so this actually may be a little bit thicker on one side than the other, so that's probably what's going on. Now, I need my dovetail marking knife, and this is the one that I've got set for thickness of the saw blade. I better check that. We go a couple of days between filming it, you never know what happens. Okay. This is always a little bit awkward because I have to do it with my left hand. Oh yeah. There's not much to reference. Shoot. Okay, so we move to the left, we mark to the right. Okay, now okay. Pull in tight. So we've offset now to the left, so we mark to the right. I'm getting better at explaining this to people over the phone. Somebody will call and order a dovetail saw or dovetail marking knife, and they don't order the sawtooth blade. And I always wonder, okay, well, do they know about it? And it used to take forever to try to explain the whole process, but I managed to hit it pretty good the other day, and I got it messaged through to a guy in a matter of a few minutes. Okay, now I've got to do my verticals on there. Oh, I can take this off. How's Costco today, Frick?
It's pretty busy.
Was it?
Yeah.
Got busy as soon as I had to go to the cash.
That's why I was out there.
Alright, I want to make sure this is standing plumb. And it isn't. So we'll bring it over. Over. Plug that up. Set that in the line. Remember, you gotta have a really super light touch. Fret saw, you're leaning on it. Chop out that waste. Okay, I don't need this much stuff. I don't know why that red line's on there. I don't remember doing that. Did I mark? I got a marking gauge line on there? Yeah. A little too much from the fret saw left, so go in there and do my preliminary chop first. Set the chisel in the gauge line. Now, I want to check those sidewalls. They've got to be spot on. Always work front to back, at least whenever you can. Now, make sure that that's flat. And it is. I can't get a square down in there, as I mentioned, but the other day what I did is I just held it out here, moved it in as far as I could, held it flat and moved it over. And that's well, there's something in there. Oh, bump right there. So I can't go all the way through. And a little piece like that will throw it off. But I can stick it in there that far, make sure it's laying flat out here, and then move it over. And that's off a little bit. See that? And on a single tail, I don't want that, so I've got to go in there and correct that. Check this side. Just a little bit of material at the bottom. Still got this. Oh, it looks pretty good, but this one doesn't. So there's some sloping on that one. Can't afford to have that pushed over, so I'm going to come in here, come in about a 30-second or so, and then just pare that down, and that should do it. Hate having to do that. I hate having to do it because I teach folks that you shouldn't have to do that. So if they see me doing it, then they think that they're going to have to do it. But you can actually... What am I about to say? You aim for not having to do it. Come on, get on there, your little hangers on. Okay, and where's that piece? We'll cut the half pin spots off. How are we for time, Fred?
Just under 10 minutes.
We're only into it 10 minutes? That's great.
No.
You mean tell me we only have 10 minutes left? I often think, how much would I actually get done if I came into the shop and in a half an hour? And I probably get more done on camera in a half an hour than I ever would by myself in a half an hour, just because of the distractions, and you're not terribly conscious at the time. Clean out that corner. Take a quick look at the shoulder and make sure there's no debris above. If anything, I may have cut a little bit low on that, but I don't think so. That dumb clamp. Those little pads are not supposed to rotate with the screw. I'm going to put some oil in there. But they do. This one does. And then when you turn, then it leaves a round swirl on the wood. And that's the finished surface. I like to go in there and just define that a little bit better, so I've got a very good shoulder to lay the saw against. We took the kids over the shore last night for Mitch's birthday. Oh, it was cold. So we all slept in one room. They rented some Scooby-Doo WWE. Stupid movie. Okay. Inside, check and make sure this is the one I did. Cut my chamfer. You know, yesterday we shot the hand tool episode, and I thought, well, this is going to be one of those boring ones we've ever done. And then Larry went on there this morning, or emailed me this morning, and went on for a page on how great the episode was and how much he learned, and all of that. I'm thinking, holy smokes. You never know what people want. Okay, so I've got to get this right. So this is this one. I know that because the biggest chunk over here goes out there, because we're going to take off most of that, remember? And then this one will fit on here. I know I'm dry fitting again, but actually, I'm going to go ahead and put this together, and then I'll cut that chamfer on the edge of that long piece, or at least I'll get it close. Then I'll trim it off completely after it's glued up. Make sure this goes together properly. Okay, that's a good fit. That's a good fit. Now we're not tight at the bottom, and that may be because of the end of that pin, the end of that tail, remember, was lower or chamfered or something. I don't know why. I'll see if I can tighten that up with a little tap and a block. Hammer. Got a block of wood here that I can use. Too thick. That one's wrecked anyway. Yeah, that's not a gap. That's the end of this tailboard was just, for whatever reason, it had a bit of a chamfer on it, and that's what it's showing up like. But actually, you know what? There's a fair bit sticking out there, so by the time I flush that off, it should be okay. All right, so this piece is going to fit in there. It's a little bit tall anyway, so that's good because that'll allow me to clean that up. Now, this is out by the same amount. That's good too, because that just means I can keep everything nice and square. These are really close to being flush. This is bad because this one's sticking way out and this one is the opposite. How did I manage to screw that up? That's the piece that I just did. Crap. Nothing I can do about it. This isn't glued up yet anyway. I just want to set it on here and see if it rocks. It does a little bit. I would expect that. So, well, I'm going to try cleaning that up a little bit. I'm not going to make it perfectly flush yet. I'll save that for when it's actually assembled. Now, there's got to be an easier way to hold this. Shoot, I can't go down there because that one's actually low. Check the projection on this. Now I'm stretching that out by just going a little bit farther with each pass. Okay, now I should mark these. Red pen, I just had it. Do you see it anywhere? I'm going to plane this because I have to clean it up anyway. So this will be A. Now I want to flush this back up. This should be going this way, I think. Yep. I got the throat down pretty tight on this. So it's coming off pretty clean. Got a bit of a bump right in there somewhere. Another one more pass. And then I'll save the more exact flushing up for after it's actually assembled. Okay, this one is good. That one is really close. This is the one that I want to. Seriously? Mm-hmm. Not kidding?
Nope.
You know what? That would be done better done on the table saw instead of trying to balance that on there. So that's what I'll do. Okay, so what's today? Friday? I'll try to get in here in the shop tomorrow and get caught up with this other one so we can do them both. On Monday we'll trim that down on the table saw. We'll assemble this one or glue it together, and then while that's drying we'll go to work on putting the panel together, and I'll also tomorrow I'll work on how best to cut a nice clean rabbet on here, just in case it's better done before assembled. In fact, you know what I'm thinking? By putting this together, if I were to flush these up now, they're not going to change once we assemble them. It's just, what's nice is you're going to have a little bit of glue squeeze out so you can clean the whole thing up. But if I flush these up now, I'm thinking it might be a whole lot smarter to go ahead and cut the majority of the rabbit. Otherwise, the rabbit could be cut on this piece and this piece and be done with it. Partially done on this one, and then just a little bit of cleaning up in the corner. The reason I'm saying that is, if you do it like this, and then go over and try to cut it up on cut it on the router, this is just a small piece, and it's going to vibrate a lot. And I think that's a smarter move is to do it the way I just suggested, which is to do it, flush it all up, take it apart, cut the rabbits, put it back together, and then a little bit of chisel work in the corners and be done with it. Still doesn't fit in there, but oh, here's what I want to do is just see how it's going to fit or look when it sits. So this is going to lay back like that. So that gives you some idea of the surface area. Not a lot. I hope she likes it. Okay, see you on Monday. Enjoy your weekend.